everyone. Welcome to another Wednesday night edition of Legends from the Past and the Future show. How you doing tonight, Denise?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to see Roger. I missed you. Missed you last week. Right? Yeah. But I held it down.
Miss you too, sis. But the weather was acting funky on me.
I know, but I asked a few extra questions for you.
I know. I looked at it.
So I got you. So I had you covered.
Appreciate it.
I got your back on that. But we did miss you. We always miss you. And we're better together.
Absolutely.
How about you, Raj? How you doing today, Raj?
Things going good, man. I mean, can't complain. Ain't like nobody gonna listen. So, got a little car issues with my grandson car. Once I get that squared away, because on my way to North Carolina Sunday.
Oh, okay.
My granddaughter graduated.
Oh, exciting.
That's awesome.
Yay.
Yeah. She graduates Sunday and start college in August.
Yeah.
So I got 3 in college and 1 in I guess you would call professional school. She did esthetician. She doing the stuff for the skin. So yeah. They all out there doing their own thing.
Well, I got some big news for you guys today. I received an email today. So I've been selected to receive a Men of Distinction Award. So I'm excited about that. More to come with information. More to come on information.
Men of Distinction.
More to come. More to come on information with that. I get it back to you as soon as I receive it.
Why are you getting an award though?
I will more to come on the information. I will let you know as I receive more information.
All right.
We got a heavy hitter. We have a we have a heavy hitter tonight, man. I'm excited about our guest tonight. Dr. Karen B. Johnson. She's the pastor of First Christian Community Church. But before we bring her on, I want to show our viewers this.
Is God called me to this assignment. I came dragging my feet. I came with sometime I knew it was him calling me to the office. A pastor here at First Christian. First night that I did my private book launch, I only brought like 50 books to the thing. I was not expecting people to buy 2 and 3 copies at one clip. So as we're moving forward, the thing that we do need to understand is just to keep reminding ourselves that we are in challenging times. But we've been here before. And the same God who brought us through before, He will bring us again. Amen? He'll bring us out again.
Well, I think it's time to introduce our guest for tonight. Are you ready for Dr. Pastor Karen B. Johnson? She's here. Welcome to the show, Pastor.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
my media guru, she's not here, so I got to work everything, and I'm a little late with what I do, but we get it done.
That's all
So,
right.
Pastor, welcome to the show, Pastor. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you. How about yourselves?
Doing great, doing great.
Good.
The way that we began on the Legend from the Past and Future shows, we travel down memory lane and work our way forward. So tell everybody where you were born. Tell everybody where you were born and raised.
I was born in Annapolis, but I grew up on Muddy Creek Road near the intersection of Mill Swamp. So that should tell you pretty much that I'm a country person. As the folks here in Annapolis call it, I'm from down country.
Down country.
I'm from down country. Yeah, I'm from down country on Muddy Creek Road. We proudly call ourselves Mill Swamp.
Mill Swamp. Okay. All right. Okay. you know what I remember about Mill Swamp? They were awful in athletics down there. Is that true?
Oh yeah. My dad used to play. Well, I was quite young, but he used to play baseball with the Edgewater Graves, and so they would play ball down on Collins Field. I don't know if you recall that location. That's on Muddy Creek Road, and used to play down in Galesville. So he was a ball player, but then there were a lot of athletes, a lot of ball players. The younger guys. He used to have a pony league as well, a little league. Then they went to the pony league. When you had a lot of the guys who went on to high school and played high school basketball and all. So yeah.
So now, what are some of the things that you enjoyed doing while growing up?
Oh my goodness, what I enjoyed doing. Well, I kind of used to classify myself as somewhat of a tomboy. I preferred being outside. I liked doing stuff that the guys were doing. I wasn't too much with the dolls, and I wanted a race car track, and my father thought he couldn't get with that. He didn't understand that. Going up at that age, that was very troublesome for him. but of course I never got the race car track. I never got that. But he taught me how to drive very early. So when you're in the country, you learn how to drive. You're 5-6 years old, you know how to drive a car. So you're out in the country, you can do that. So yeah.
So then, did you consider yourself to be athletic?
No, not really. I'm one of those who athletic in their mind.
Okay.
I played field hockey, volleyball. I played softball, but I wasn't good at softball at all. But I was good at field hockey.
So who are some of the people that was the most influential on you while growing up? Who did you look up to?
Oh, I looked up to my mother, my father. My dad, he was my hero. My mom, I used to call her my cheerleader. There were some things about my dad that I didn't recognize or didn't understand initially. It wasn't until later when I look back, I was going like, oh, that's what he was doing. So, like, for example, my dad took my mom and I, we were going on vacation. And this was around 1965. And so, a lot was happening in 1965 in reference to the civil rights movement. And so we were going to New York. It was the New York's World's Fair. And I remember going to the bus station, and the bus station used to be on West Street where, I don't think it's Lowe's Hotel now. I think it's the Graduate Hotel. I think that's what's on West Street at this point. Yep. Well, that used to be where the bus station was. And I remember we're going to get on the bus, and my father made sure that he was on the front seat, me and my mom. And I was on the front seat right across the aisle from him. I didn't realize then, of course, as a child, I didn't realize the impact of that and what the message he was trying to send. And he wasn't challenged either. But again, I didn't realize what was happening. I was young, all I know, I'm on a bus and I'm going on a trip. That's it. I didn't know anything else. And it wasn't until later that I was able to appreciate that was his own form of 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 defiance, if you will, his own form of protest. And when I look back, it was a lot of that. That in the moment, I didn't understand what it was, and it wasn't until later when I began to reflect and, oh, this is what's happening. And so I grew up in that kind of environment. I grew up with not only with my parents, but with my church family, with the community. So we had like a three-chord strand, if you will. So it was always church, community, and family. That was the three. And as far as school was concerned, during that time it was segregation. Our schools didn't desegregate until, well, I think it was I'm gonna lose track. 66. I don't remember for sure, but um, back then it wasn't anything for your principal and the teachers to go to the same church that you go to, and they knew your family. So I grew up in that type of environment. It was very close-knit community. Muddy Creek Road, Edgewater, Mill Swamp, Old Mill Swamp Road, very close-knit community. We all basically went to the same church. Everybody knew everyone. um, some relationships overlap, you know, but it was that type of environment that I grew up, which produced a lot of people in that environment that I looked up to. Um, there were a number of people within our neighborhood who were very community oriented, but they were very civic minded. They were all about making change, wanting things to improve as far as the lives of people to improve. So I grew up in that type of environment. So yes, my mom and my dad definitely were at the forefront, but at the same time, there were many others within our community as well that were very influential. And and again, when you're growing up in that kind of environment, you may not realize the impact of it. It's not until later, and then you go like, I don't mean just the impact. It becomes normal to you, but you don't realize just how impactful that was in that kind of environment that I grew up in.
Wow. Now, what was your major in college?
I went to Morgan State University. So my first major there, my BA was in speech communication. Then I went to Howard, and it was organizational communication. And then I went to, of course, United Theological Seminary, and that's where I got my DMin.
Nice.
In fact, we're gonna do things a little different. Right? I'm always getting slapped to let Deneen go first, but women first, right? But I'm gonna let Roger take it first tonight. No, not gonna do that. All right, we're gonna stay on point. But before I do so, I want to welcome Vanessa King to the show. Uh, Whoever praised the Lord is, identify yourself in the chat, please. Cheryl Murray, welcome to the show. Daniel Butler, welcome to the show. And I'm not gonna hold this against you, Melanie, but she's a Philadelphia Eagle. Welcome to the show, Melanie.
Yes, she is.
On you, on you, Denise.
On me? Okay, great. Thank you. So, I guess the question I have is about your memoir. And you said your memoir, when morning comes, talks about some deeply personal things. What was the hardest chapter to write, and what did it teach you?
Oh, wow. Well, the hardest chapter to write would have been the first two. All of them were quite challenging. It really took me about 5 years to write, and it's the writing start began. The writing start from me going to counseling, and so they always encourage you to journal, and so I was journaling. And then when I started seminary, because I was starting seminary all around the same time, and one of the things that we had to do was do what we call a spiritual autobiography. And a spiritual autobiography is something that anyone can do, but you just start with your earliest memories and you work up. So anyway, that was the genesis, the beginning of the book. So each chapter was difficult to write. So, and the reason it took me a while was because I would start writing, and then I would take a break, and that break could be months. It was like I had to process what I had written, had to sit with it, and then I had to, when it was time for me to go back to write again, I'm gearing myself up and I'm writing again. And then I had to stop and pause and process. And so it took a while. So the first few chapters were the most difficult. As far as what I learned from the entire process, some of it I summed it up as far as in the back of the book. And I learned, number one, that sometimes you have to be okay with what you don't know. And that is, you may not always get the answers that you want. And you need to be able to accept that and not allow it to hold you up, hang you up, but to just move on. The other thing that I learned was that it is okay to sit in your truth. I should say that will be the main thing. It's to be able to honor your truth, whatever that truth may be. And by honoring it, it means allowing yourself to give voice to your truth, because that truth deserves to be heard. And when I'm saying deserves to be heard, I'm not necessarily saying that it needs to be made public, especially in the manner that I did, but to be heard as far as whether you're sitting down from across from a therapist, or that you are voicing it, that you're speaking. This is something that has happened. This is something that has been difficult, and I need to address it, as opposed to suppressing it, as opposed to, you know what, it's over with. I'm not going to. It's done. I'm going to leave it alone. But to honor the truth and to honor yourself by being able to speak it in whatever manner that you are led to do that.
Oh, good. Thank you. Well, shoot, that jumps right into my next question about you speaking truth to power. What does that look like?
Speaking truth to power.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking truth to power, to me, how I define it is that when you're speaking to those who are holding some sort of, whether it's political power, economical power, something or someone that is, I would say, that's dominant or has somewhat of a control or influence, and you are in the position of, I'm going to speak the truth to those who are holding or in a position that they can make change to whatever that situation may be, whether it's political situation, economic situation, whatever the case, whatever that may be, is standing firm. And speaking the truth is, let's lay down, and this is what is happening. This is what needs to be addressed, and we're going to bring it to those who are in a position where they can affect change, where they can address whatever this issue may be.
Oh, thank you very much. And I love that, because you hear that all the time. So thank you for clarifying that. Roger, I'm going to go ahead and move on.
I'm amazed. I am amazed.
Trying. I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best. I want to get in
Johnson, there. Did your son marry Olivia's daughter?
Yes, he did. Kristen.
I knew that your face looked familiar. He looked just like you. Well, Olivia mother and my mother are sisters. So me and you family now.
Okay.
Because I saw Tristan's picture in your bio. I said, oh, okay. I see that cuz up there with the dreads and everything. Yeah. I saw them, I think 2 weeks ago at Wanda Lee's birthday party.
I was there.
Yeah. I didn't see you though. I probably saw you and didn't see you. See, look, we got, because Arm and them getting jealous. Look at their face. Look at their face. But look at their face. They getting jealous. But anyway, because I was over there with Bo, over there where the fish was.
Oh yeah.
And then,
and I was on the other
over there. You was on the other side.
Right.
Yeah, you was over there with
out of the tent. Mm-hmm. Out
of the tent. Yeah, I was on the. See that? They so jealous. I love it. But anyway, so you have let's talk about your lift. Let's talk about that a little bit. Explain to the people what that is. Your
It's not.
living, and I saw it on your pipe.
It
Yeah,
was living in faith together. That was
there
a
you go.
program that we launched several years ago, and the intent of that program was often you find people who are what we call fall through the cracks. They make too much money to get the kind of assistance that they really need and deserve, or and they're not making enough money to stay above water. And so the purpose was of Lyft was to kind of to address those people who do fall between the cracks. They make too much money to get in the system, but at the same time they're living from paycheck to paycheck. And so what the
Mm.
Lyft program did was to walk beside partners, people who to participate, and we had financial advisors, and they would just go through your finances. In most of the cases, it was a situation where all they had to do is rearrange the budget, and that allowed people to, to see how to better manage their funds. And then there were situations where the only way that some people could get above water, that they had to have some bills paid off. And so we had set aside some funds where we actually did that. We paid off cars, we paid off tax bills, we paid off. It was usually something that even if the person worked a part-time job, they still wouldn't have enough to get themselves above water. And so it was in those situations where we actually, stepped in and paid to get them above water, and then help them to balance their budget and just move on. So when you find a way to do that, and how we were doing it, we did what we call the tithe of the tithes. And so the income that comes into our church, we do not have fundraisers. We don't have, chicken dinners and pew rallies and things of that nature. We survive totally off of tithes and offering. And so we
Wow.
encourage our members, our partners rather, to tithe, and that's the 10th. And what the church does, we now tithe off of what comes in. So that means we set aside 10% of what comes in, and that is used to put back into the community. And
Wow.
so that's where the Lyft program served at that particular time. The challenge to the Lyft program, we did end the Lyft program because it was one of those things where people would be helped, but because it was so personal and we could understand it, they weren't always willing to help to give an endorsement because, so the word didn't get out within the congregation. And there was some people who just didn't want to take advantage of it. So we ended up closing it out. And we closed it out probably about 2 years ago.
Nice.
But it was called
Wow.
Living. It was called Living.
So right, I saw that on your bio. I saw that you had the live thing and living in faith together. And also, is it you got another program, the Hope program? Is that the program that's doing the things in Ghana?
No,
Yep,
no.
you're doing stuff.
If
Oh,
you've seen
okay.
the house, you've seen the Hope House. That's where one of our ministers, they would go
Uh-huh.
there to run sessions with the folks who are the residents who are that location. But the Ghana, which you saw in there, we have partnered with
Mhm.
another church over here in Prince George's County, and they were at that particular time they were building bathrooms for this. It was a school that was in Ghana, and the bathroom facilities were less than. It was literally a hole in the ground, and so that church went to build a bathroom. And how we got involved with that particular project, it was my cousin who goes to that particular church, and she was just sharing, and I was like, oh, okay, would like to partner up with you. And what had happened, their church had started the project, But they had some issues with the contractor, and they had to get another contractor. And you know, I'm going to have to sometimes the first contractor underbids and really need more money to accomplish it. And so, but when we stepped in, it was right at that time. It was nothing but the Lord orchestrated that because we had no idea, no clue. And so when we stepped in and just said, okay, we'll give you an offering. And so we gave an offering, not knowing it was the exact amount of money that they were short of in order to complete the project.
Look at God.
That's amazing.
I mean, it was amazing because they didn't tell us how much they need. They didn't even say, but they just said, you know, sure, we accept whatever you want to, you know, give. And we gave, and that was what it was. And so, yeah, that was really amazing. So we were really happy. And so now they have modern bathroom facilities for that school. And so, you know, whatever other projects that particular church will look at endeavor, you know, they'll contact us because we like going alongside people who may be already involved in a project. You know, what's the point in reinventing the wheel or trying to jump out there, you know, ourselves when you already know someone who is doing it, they're aligned with your core values. So why not partner up and get the thing done? So we tend to move in that way.
Nice. I agree. That's good. That's good stuff.
Yeah. And that was awesome. Now, that spot wasn't in Accra, was it? That
No,
church that they built the latrines for. I mean,
right. It wasn't in Accra. I can't. It begins with a K. But it was outside of Accra.
What is it? Camusa? That one? Kamusi. Camusa. Because Camusa is like 40 minutes by plane and 5.5 hours from Accra.
Yeah. No. It was
because I've been over there.
I don't remember the name, but it was outside of Accra. And I just remember being
outside of Accra.
You know, because Accra is big city. All right, I'm gonna turn it on. Take care of my cousin now, Armin. Y'all see we related. I know y'all jealous, but anyway, go on, take care. Go ahead, Armin. Go and ask my cousin some questions. My family. They mad.
Before I do, let me welcome some folks to the show. Linda Tong, welcome to the show. Sherry Mika, welcome to the show. Regina Lewis, welcome to the show. Everyone who's on here, Kim Henson, welcome to the show. Adrienne Gibbs, welcome to the show. Patrick, 5339, welcome to the show. Shirley Herndon, welcome to the show. Kiana Mako, welcome to the show. Mary Gray, welcome to the show. Myra Harris, Gail Brown, Kiana Mako, Brenda Gray, welcome to the show. Pastor, now you were just recently appointed to the Annapolis Faith Council. What's that all about?
We've only had one session. We meet once a quarter. And just the first meeting was in March. So the Annapolis Faith Council was organized at the request of the mayor, and it's headed by Bishop Coates. And there are those of us from the Jewish community, I think Muslim, so different religions and denominations are part of the council. So the purpose of this council is to be a liaison between the faith community, which represents a community, you know, our members, partners of our congregations, and be like a liaison with the mayor. So that's now the initial objective of it. But again, it just formed. And so we've only had one meeting, which was in March. So the next, it only meets once a quarter.
Awesome. Before I go to my next question, I have to mention Cheryl Booth. You know, she called me and said, "My pastor's going to be on your show." I said, "Yeah, when is it going to be?" Wednesday at 8 o'clock. So Cheryl, welcome to the show. Dominique Curry, welcome to the show. Pastor, what has been your biggest joy, biggest challenge in ministry?
Biggest challenge.
Biggest joy and
the biggest joy in ministry is actually seeing change, people changing. Um, is seeing people who have maybe dealt with some really heavy stuff, and seeing them going through the process of trusting the process and coming out of their situation, and just watching them blossom. That always just brings a joy when you see that, you know, especially, when you know where they've come from, and then the extra piece onto it is that when other people meet them but don't know their story, and so the saying, you don't look like what you've been through, and so folks have no idea what it took for that person to get to where they are. Um, so that is definitely a great joy in just watching people allow God to come in and to move and to do the work within them, and that they work with Him, and to see people
Yeah.
also to move into their purpose, to move into their gifting, and then as they're excelling in it, and you're just watching them just grow, and you just kind of stand back and just watch God do their thing, um, and that's they're
Yeah.
going in. So, yeah, it's really. It's really fascinating, and it's one you never get tired of seeing. You just continue to just pray, you continue to work, and you just meet people where they are, and not try to force people into becoming who you think they're supposed to be and doing what you think they're supposed to do. You just kind of sit back and just allow the Lord to do what the Lord's going to do, and He will reveal, He will show, and you just our job is to, as pastors, is as under shepherds, is not to get ahead of the great shepherd. Our job is to walk
Yeah.
alongside and follow Him as we are leading and guiding, you know, the sheep of His pasture. So you always got to keep that in mind, that the people who belong to your congregation, they belong to God first,
Amen.
are the under shepherd. Your job is to take care of God's sheep. The Bible says, the sheep of my pastures. So once you
Mm.
keep that into perspective, then that kind of balances everything out and takes the pressure, because instead of you trying to be the one to be the fixer and you're going to do this, no, we just allow God to help, to work through you, to help, um, to bring His sheep into the fullness of who He has so ordained them to be and to become. And so that is one of the greatest blessings. What was the second part to your question?
So your biggest
He don't remember.
challenge in ministry, your biggest challenge in ministry.
What was my biggest challenge in ministry? My biggest challenge in ministry, to be honest, and I wrote about this in the book. My biggest challenge in ministry was accepting the fact that God had called me to the position of being a pastor and operating as a pastor, as opposed to as my when I was in seminary, and my mentor in seminary said, "You are operating that church with a second chair mentality instead of being in the first chair."
Hmm.
The biggest challenge was walking in what God had actually called me into, as to as opposed to of not fully walking in my calling, because I wasn't feeling like I was really worthy of that. I had
Right.
to, God had to help me to overcome that. And when you do not feel or totally accept or don't believe what God has called you to, then you don't walk fully into it. You don't own the position, if you will. Um, and so that was my biggest challenge right there, and it was so freeing, um, when when he brought that to my attention. My mentor, my faculty mentor, he said, "You walk in here, you come in here with a smile on your face, and you have all of this stuff you've been going through, blah 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 blah." He was going down the line, and he was like, "And I just want to tell you, you've been operating with a second chair mentality." And it just like, cool.
Wow, that's good.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
Pastor, this is a testimony Vanessa Kane. If you can see this, can you see that?
Yes.
It's very powerful, which leads me into a situation. Okay, before I pass it to the knee. So here's a situation for you, Pastor. I emotionally distraught, born again, have a church home, walking the first Christian, and I'm spiritually dead. What would be your recommendation to me?
You said you were breaking up a little. You said you're walking into First Christian. You're spiritually dead.
Spiritually
Is that
dead. Have a church,
you have a
have a
church?
church home, yeah, and spiritually dead. What would be your recommendation?
Well, first thing I'll do, I will sit down and talk with you. And the conversation would be around, just you tell me you're spiritually dead. What does that mean to you? What does that mean? Because I don't want to try to define it for you. I would want you to define it for me.
Hmm.
What does that mean that you're spiritually dead? How did we get here? And then you're coming in from another church. Well, are you coming in from another church because you're looking for another church, or you just happen to drop in? Those would be questions that I would want to ask first, before moving into any kind of recommendations. You'll need some background.
Awesome, awesome. How are you, Denise?
Okay. So I love what you said about how you were walking like as as a second chair, and someone had saw what God really had for you. And I just wanted to just say that that's so awesome that you received that, because God can only fill the cup that you have. So if you only have a second chair cup, then you're putting limits on God to do what He has for you, right?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
it's just nice. It's nice that you were able to reset on that, because that's, I mean, when God calls us, we have to make sure that we are walking in what God said and not what we think about ourselves. So I
Mhm.
like that part.
Or what others think about you.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
true.
that can be a huge hindrance when we are dwelling on what other people think and what other people are saying. And that's what I had locked into. And so it just kind of stifled, and it can just throw you off. And yes, you do not flow in the manner that you should be flowing in.
Yeah, and then I think there's scripture reference to that when they talked about how Jesus couldn't do all the works back in his hometown because of how people looked at him in
Exactly.
in a certain way. So yeah, that's definitely an example of that. But what I wanted to do was go to you as a founding board member of the New Village Academy,
Mhm.
and the question that I had is, what gap did you see as it being necessary? Like what were you trying to fill? What were you trying to accomplish that wasn't happening already? Because I think that, what's the mission for it?
Right. The gap that I saw and what attracted me to the Village Academy, it was that it was addressing um, those children, those students who just didn't fit in traditional schools. The way the traditional school is set up, it hasn't changed in over 100 years, and it doesn't fit for everyone. And so sometimes students can get lost in the traditionalism of school because it just doesn't fit. And so that's why I saw New Village Academy as filling that gap. And actually, as it says on on the website, is doing school differently. And it's doing it differently is now you're centering the student, and you're centering. It's kind of going back in a way to how it used to be back in the day, where it's you got the school and you have the family that's involved, and the two are working together, and that makes such a huge difference. So, yeah, New Village is stepping out into new waters. Um, the school will open in August of 2026, and so it's going to be an opportunity to look at this new model, and I believe that it's going to be a model that's going to be taken on by other school districts as well. It's really centering, and it's really getting to that child who Regular school just doesn't work.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that you're doing that. And so when you say that it's student centered, what does that mean? I know it's student, parent, school partnership. I understand that part, but what exactly does student centered mean?
So one of the mission or how it's set up is let's take for example you have a student coming in and let's say they are interested in photography. They want to become a photographer. And so that child will come in ninth grade. They're going to be matched with someone in the community who has that business. It's part of a like a training and internship, if you will, and they're going to be in groups. Like once they come in ninth grade, they are going to be in this particular group with a group leader that's going to carry them right on through to 12th grade. It's time to graduate. But when I say the student centered, it's centered around what that child's interest is. Um, Still getting the fundamentals, don't make that mistake. But at the same time, by the time that child hits 12th grade, they could walk out and, depending on what type of career they're looking for, they could walk into a position, or is even better preparing them to go on to college or of that nature. So student centered is coming from the standpoint is what's interesting to you.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That kind of goes back to the VOTEC model a little bit.
Yeah,
And,
right,
so yeah,
right,
so I like that. That's
right.
really good. I mean, we love that. We know that they took that VOTEC thing out because we were thriving way too much in it. And so I love that you have realized that that is a great model. So I really like that. I did want to ask one more question though. So what I'm seeing in the ministry is I'm seeing all the pastors are having got their doctorate degrees. Everybody's doctor somebody, right? So I guess the question that I have is, do you think that having a doctorate degree is necessary to be an effective pastor?
No. Mm-mm. You have to, in my opinion, you should have a reason why you want a doctorate degree. Um,
Right,
and going through those steps. You do not have to have a doctor's degree to be an effective pastor. You do not have to have a college degree
right,
to be an
right,
effective pastor. If God has called you and you're open to studying, and when I mean studying, you're open to taking classes. You may not be going to college, but you're open to learning. Because my husband founded First Christian. He didn't go to college. He didn't
right.
finish. He didn't have a degree.
hmm I think that's good news. I think that's good news because I think there are people out there who feel like they may be called, but they don't necessarily have the educational background. And so they may feel a little bit intimidating. So I think that the fact that you said that really may open the door for some people to be able to walk in what God has called them to do.
Yeah, yeah. And when you're talking about a doctor's degree, but when you're talking about someone who's saying, "I have a call on my life," okay. So let me just give you this example. So, at our church, we have what we call the AKI, which is called Advancing the Kingdom Institute, and it's um, we actually took the structure or this from a seminary. It's run by my son who graduated from Howard, and we've laid out a 3-year program that's for people within our congregation who say, I feel I have a call in my life to be, to become a minister. And they go through this 3-year program. I mean, they go through exegeting a text. They go through Old Testament, New Testament. They world religion. They go through all of those subjects. Even those who are not sensing a call to become a minister, but there may be elders. And for example, in our church, an elder is an administrator. They're the ones who have kind of the administrative component of the church, and they teach as well. And so they go through the AKI, but those who are called to be ministers go through it even more. So it's really was created for those who had not, who may have finished college or may not have finished college, but it was to give them the fundamentals. But at the same time, we do encourage you to get as much as you can, educational wise.
Right.
Why we encourage that is because people in congregations they're very sophisticated. You can't get up there in the pulpit and just throw something out there and think they're gonna buy it. Number one, they're gonna Google it while you're preaching. So
Right. So I mean, so just
yeah,
show yourself approved, right?
right, exactly. So we do encourage, to continue getting as much as education as possible. But back to your question, is a doctorate necessary? No, it's not. To me, a doctorate is if you want to teach, or the reason I went was because I just felt I just needed to get more because again, I'm looking at people who are coming in and it's like, you can't be throwing anything out here. You need to stay sharp as you can.
Right.
And so reason that I went back but yeah, it's not necessary. And it's the kind of degree that you get because there's an earned degree and then there's one that you pay for.
Okay, but that's another topic. Go ahead, Roger. You might want to ride on that one.
No, I got my own questions. I appreciate it. I reclaim my time. So I was looking at the now you went to Morgan first, right? You went to Morgan and then Howard?
Yes.
So how was that going from being a bear to a bison when they play against each other? So who did you cheer for?
Oh, I'm Morgan all the way. See, Howard was grad school, so for me that was a whole different vibe. I went to Howard not for the culture. I went for the Howard for the degree.
Right.
Morgan, that's home. Howard.
Okay.
Morgan is home. I didn't have that kind of.
I know about my sister went to Morgan.
Yeah. I didn't have that raw.
Yeah, I got you. So you were sitting there watching Morgan play Howard, the Bears play Bison, and you silently cheering for Morgan. You going to that school? That's cool. That's all right.
I like
that.
You go over to the Morgan side. You go where you belong. You go home.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna hurt some feelings with this one. When I was a kid, my cousin Chuck Maker was a superstar down there at Southern High School. So when they played Annapolis, I always cheered for Chuck. Now realizing later on that I went to Annapolis, but family. That's a family thing.
I remember Chuck Maker,
so this sister. Huh? I'm sorry.
No, I was saying
you got this sister to sister woman conference and retreat.
Yes.
You remember Chuck?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he was a bad boy. You got something called, I saw in your bio, called Sister to Sister Women's Conference. What is that about?
Yeah, that was back in the day. We did the Sister to Sister Conference, and it was just like I said. It was. We did it as a conference, and we also
Sister Women's Conference. Did I go out?
So yes, what was the Sister to Sister Conference about?
I'm having a little bit of trouble here. Y'all still hear me?
We hear you.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was that about?
It was
the sister conference, the Sister to Sister Woman Conference.
Yeah, we used to have a 3-day conference here in Annapolis. And when we started out, because when we started out First Christian, we didn't have a church building. We were worshiping at one point. When we first started, we were worshiping over at what is now the Doubletree Hotel. It was a Holiday Inn back in the day, and we also were worshiping out of Beacon Light. We were there on Sundays. And then we were down at Southern High School. So when we had events, we had to rent churches. So we were at St. Martin, down there off of Forest Drive, is where we used to have our conferences. And we've had it at Annapolis High School as well. And so that used to be like a 3-day conference. Pardon me, not 3 days. Yes, it was. And we would just invite different speakers, and we had sessions, breakout sessions and so forth. And then we did with the retreat. We launched the retreat. I think the first retreat was in '96. Was when we did our first retreat, and that's when we go away. We leave on Thursday and come back on Saturday. And so we're doing another retreat, just getting back into it. So after the pandemic, we hadn't done anything since the pandemic, and so our next retreat will be coming up in July. We changed it a little bit. It's not sister to sister, but this retreat is called the Breathe Retreat, and where we're just going to bring the ladies together for spiritual refreshing, to breathe, to just take a moment. Sometimes you need a moment to just be, and we're looking for that
Absolutely.
moment. Yeah.
That's great. And I'm glad that you're putting it out on this platform. I'm quite sure with some individuals who wasn't aware of that. And with that being said, well, I knew you were squared away once I realized we was related. But anyway, with all that being said, you can go to Armin now. Go ahead, Armin.
Sister Pastor, an
Don't be
audience
mad.
member
Don't hate.
An audience member had a question.
Okay.
Being an effective, well, then she changed it. She said, "What makes one an effective pastor?"
What makes one an effective pastor? Is that the question?
Yes.
I think what makes a person effective is, first of all, are they relatable? Can they relate to the people that they're called to pastor? Are you relatable, and are you approachable?
Amen. That's good.
I think those are the two main things. Is can you talk? Can when you are sermonizing or whatever, are you able to share something? Be transparent to help to show that you're really not any different. You know what I mean? And I'll let me put it this way: the church is the ecclesia, and the ecclesia is the called out. So when you look at a pastor is a called out from the called out. Does that make sense? The ecclesia is the called out, but you're called out of the called out. So you're not different. You just have another assignment. And so it's important that you are, first of all, to being able to be relatable. You also have to make sure you have integrity. And I think integrity is what is the most valued thing that you have, and you should be at all costs to try to protect your integrity, because that also helps people to be comfortable with you and to have some confidence in you, because the last thing you want as a pastor is, people not, you don't want to be shady,
Right.
but, and because, and not that you're not trying to be on a pedestal, even though people will try to put you on a pedestal, and that's an issue. That's a whole nother conversation. But you don't want to put yourself on a pedestal either. But you want to be relatable, but at the same time, sometimes you don't want to go too far in being relatable. You still have a standard that you have to, in my opinion, that you should adhere to. Just because you may be comfortable with something, it doesn't necessarily mean you should necessarily, I'm looking for a way to put it. Everybody may not be able to handle what you may be comfortable with and comfortable in doing, so you may want to keep that separate, if you follow what I'm saying.
Good answer.
So, Sister Pastor, because we're getting close to that time, what we're going to do is, first of all, can we invite you back on the show? This has been great.
Oh, sure.
So much more that we can.
Sure.
We would love to have you back. So we're going to allow. So Deneen's going to say something, and Roger going to say something. I'll say something, and then you get a chance to close us out with something encouraging to everyone that's out there. Also, when we do end the show, don't leave. Stay on, okay?
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Deneen.
Okay, so what I wanted to say, you were talking about effective. She was talking about being an effective pastor. You have that humble spirit, and I think that that's very important. And I just love that humble, calming spirit, and I really appreciate you for that. But one last thing, I just wanted to ask the question is, what legacy do you hope your children and grandchildren see in your work, or what would you, what would you want people to say about you when it's all said and done?
When it's all said and done, I want people to really say, um, I think I really wanted to say, you know what, she really did love the Lord. She did the best that she could. She lived it and walked it out as best as she could. Um, and I will want my children and my grandchildren um, definitely to, hopefully they will see that you do the best that you can do in honoring God. Always keep God first. And I want them to see that I tried the best that I could. Didn't always get it right. Messed up sometimes. But at the same time, even though I messed up, didn't get it right, you still trust God enough to get back up and to trust Him that He will help you to move on, help you to grow from whatever it may have been, and so that you can continue on. So I hope that they would just see that, hey, you know what? As long as I can trust God and keep my faith and hold on to Him, I'm going to be okay. I can make it, and that will help you to accept the fact that you are really okay.
Amen. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Roger.
Thank you, kind lady. I just want to say it was an honor, because all we do. Well, I'm the jokester. They always so serious, and I think that's because we don't had. I don't know how many of my family members come on this show because we just great, and they haven't had any. So anyway, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate the knowledge that you put out, and it's going to be another honor when you come back.
Thank you.
And I will see you at the next get together. They won't be there.
I'll be looking for you.
All right.
Sister Pastor, yes, it has been an honor, and I'm glad you accepted the call to appear on tonight's show. And yes, you are truly legendary. And congratulations, Sister Pastor.
Absolutely.
We look
forward
to having. We look forward to having you back. And now it's on you to close us out with something.
I guess if I had anything to share with you right now is to always understand that you were, as the scripture tells us, you were called into the kingdom for a time such as this. You have purpose, and you are in this generation. You are in this time because there is something that God wants you to do or continue to do, or what you are doing right now. So always remember that you are here for a reason. And as long as you have breath, there's a reason for you to be here and a reason for you to continue going on. And so my word again to you is know that you are here for a purpose, that a purpose has been ordained, and your job is to fulfill it. And it's going to be okay.
Well, there you have it. Come back next week. We're going to have Pastor K back again. Maybe next week. I don't know, but come back next week. See who our guest's going to be.
Zena Pierre.
After that, we're going to take the chance off. We need some
Zena Pierre. Zena Pierre will be on next week.
Zena Pierre.
Yeah, that's a good lady.
It was a surprise. They had to come see who it was. But thank you. Thank you. Come back next Wednesday. We'll have Zena Pierre on the show. After that, we're going to take a week off. We need a vacation. So we're going to take some time off.
Oh, we do?
And then come back with another exciting. Yeah, I'm telling you.
Can we get one with pay? The Army don't pay nothing. Can we get one with pay?